If you couldn't tell by my channel name, I'm a big fan of movies. Although I'd consider myself a film buff and I know a fair share about the industry and screenwriting, I haven't seen as many movies as I should have. Like, I've seen a lot of movies, yes, but when I see a movie that I like, I tend to just watch that movie over and over again. So about a month ago, I decided to make a list of all the movies I wanted to watch. Here's some of the things I've seen in quarantine so far. Unlike the 2019 movie A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood starring Tom Hanks, Will You Be My Neighbor focuses on the life of Fred Rogers and his show, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I've always enjoyed the story of Mr. Rogers and his mission of educating young children. Watching this documentary gave me insight on the life of Mr. Rogers and how he used his voice to impact the lives of all those around him. A lot of the most intimate moments all throughout the documentary come from Mr. Rogers' friends and family. Hearing how Mr. Rogers' daily life was on set and his motivation for doing the kind of work he did really revealed how genuine and kind of a person Mr. Rogers was. He didn't care about money, and he didn't care if people thought he was odd or strange. Mr. Rogers was a kind-hearted soul who wanted to spread kindness and promote equality for all. I really enjoyed this documentary, and I think anyone who watches it will shed a tear at the end like I did. Pavarotti, directed by Ron Howard, is currently my favorite documentary. The life of Luciano Pavarotti was beautifully told and showed off the God-given voice that Pavarotti possessed. I didn't know about opera or the global influence that Pavarotti had, and watching this documentary gave me a newfound respect and appreciation for a world that I wouldn't have known otherwise. The difference between Pavarotti and other opera singers is that when Pavarotti sings a song, he's not singing at you, he's singing to you. Of the hundreds of both live and audio recordings, Pavarotti is the only singer that I can say that about. To tell a narrative revealing he's lived the songs that he sings with such precision and range, consistently hitting the high C, is remarkable. Having musical knowledge prior, I'm glad that I'm able to appreciate the technicality and mastery that someone like Luciano Pavarotti had. As happy as I am that recordings of his greatness exist, I'll always be sad that I'll never be able to experience his greatness live. Someone on my last video commented and told me they preferred Goodfellas over The Wolf of Wall Street, and after seeing Goodfellas I could fully understand why. Goodfellas for me exemplified and showed off Martin Scorsese's iconic style. A first-person narrator, drugs, high stakes, and a lot of death. Obviously all directors have their own style and usually carry them throughout the career, but seeing how Scorsese tells a story and seeing the subtle and glaring similarities that I hadn't known prior showed me a lot of the differences that separate Scorsese from other filmmakers. I think Goodfellas is definitely Scorsese's best work in terms of what I've seen, and I definitely plan on taking a deeper look at Scorsese's filmography and maybe even making a video ranking Scorsese's work. Conceptually, I hadn't seen anything like The Platform. My girlfriend and I watched this after it came out, and the plot and premise of the film surprised me the most. Having a 300-story prison that limits the amount of food each level has, and having the protagonists go through multiple different cellmates was an interesting aspect of the story that continually changed the tone. The Platform has a unique way of criticizing the class system between the rich and the poor, illustrating how it's taken advantage of and how people on the top have the opportunity to help those below. At least that's what I think, considering the people on top get better treatment than those on the bottom. And the lower the floor a prisoner is, the more likely they are to die. I really enjoyed The Platform, and I hope Netflix continues to make more films like this. There's a lot of substance and material to analyze and pick apart within The Platform, so much so that I'm considering on doing a standalone video talking about the different themes and subtleties in the plot and with characters. As a heads up to anyone who's looking to check out The Platform on Netflix, I highly recommend seeing this film in the original Spanish with subtitles instead of listening to the dubbed English. A lot of the inflections and tone is lost in English, and the original Spanish is a better experience for the viewer. Like The Platform, I had never seen anything like her. Spike Jonze did a phenomenal job building the world and making the scenery beautiful. The warm tones and bright colors sprinkled all throughout the scenes was visually stunning from beginning to end. There's a certain aesthetic that her brings to the table all throughout, with the costumes, set design, and color palettes that all come together smoothly and make it a joy to watch. Aside from the gorgeous eye candy, the story done by Spike Jonze was phenomenal. Sci-fi romance and drama films are a hard genre to do well because of all the different tropes and cliches that I think a lot of filmmakers tend to fall into. However, that's not the case with her. With the way the world is built and the story is structured, the type of relationship between Theo and Samantha are plausible and fairly normal considering the circumstances in the film. Yes, an AI and human relationship isn't normal in our current world, yet in her the setting is both similar and different to our own for us to empathize with Theo. I haven't seen any sci-fi romance or drama films that do what her does with such ease, building a beautiful sci-fi world telling a romance story so well. The story is elevated even more with the given cast. I'm glad Joaquin Phoenix was cast for the role of Theo and Scarlett Johansson cast as the role of Samantha. I've always been a fan of Joaquin Phoenix, and when paired with Scarlett Johansson, they did great work as a tandem. Joaquin has always been one of those actors who I think is a true actor. He's so capable of being any character and becoming so immersed with the personality of his characters, it's almost impossible to tell what Joaquin Phoenix is really like. Not to say that many actors can't do the same thing, but seeing the type of roles Joaquin Phoenix plays and the way he's able to execute, it comes together really well, especially in her. I didn't have very many expectations before watching Good Will Hunting. I'd known that it was an indie movie written by Matt Damon, but that was it. After watching Good Will Hunting for the first time, I can say I wasn't disappointed with what I saw. The story was original and well executed by the crew, and it had a great cast starring Matt Damon, Robin Williams, and the Affleck brothers. It's hard to pick apart and see all the flaws within the movie because it's such a classic feel-good 90s movie, having all the ingredients needed to make a great movie. Personally, I really enjoyed Robin Williams and Matt Damon's performances in Good Will Hunting. Scenes with them together dissecting the character of Will Hunting and giving us more of a backstory to Sean Maguire's time with his wife before she passed were some of the best moments of the film. Good Will Hunting is a classic, and I think the people that haven't seen it will love it. I remember when Tag first came out and the mixed receptions that critics had. By no means is Tag a perfect movie or cinematic masterpiece, but it's a movie about adults playing tag. I don't think anyone should have expectations to the roof. That being said, I don't think Tag was a bad movie in any way it means. It's a lighthearted, fun, easy to follow buddy movie with a great cast. Ed Helms, Hannibal Buress were two of my favorite characters with their comedic timing and lines, and the overall story was solid and well executed. I think that anybody that picks apart Tag is not getting the message of the movie. It's just supposed to be fun, and you're supposed to laugh. So, stop thinking too deep. Damien Chazelle's La La Land has been my favorite movie during self-isolation. Typically, I don't like musicals because the story takes a backseat to the music, but in La La Land that couldn't have been further from the truth. I really enjoyed the aspects explored of having a musician and an actress struggle, grow, and eventually separate. Admittedly, the story was a little cliche and cheesy at times, but from beginning to end, the story was structured and paced really well and all came together. The theme of sacrificing something you love in order to achieve your dreams made me have really mixed feelings towards the end. On one hand, I was happy that both Sebastian and Mia ended up successful in what they were passionate about, but on the other hand, it was sad that despite all their hard work and their careers wanting to stay together and make their relationship work, they didn't live their dream lives together. One of my band directors in high school always told me the struggles of being a professional musician in the industry and the selfishness it takes to reach the highest level. I feel like in La La Land especially, it was evident where selfishness comes into place and how it can affect both musicians and artists overall. That's going to be it for today's video. I really appreciate you guys watching. I know I've been gone for a while, but I got some stuff lined up I'm really excited to put out. I have a lot more free time, especially being the end of the semester and staying inside all the time. So I got some ideas I'm going to work on for my next couple of videos. In the meantime, you guys take care, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.